Hello, beautiful humans. It's Jennifer Norman. Welcome to day 22 of From My Closet, a project that I started to help spread a little bit of inspiration and give a little bit of joy to the world at this time that we're in. I wanted to actually talk today about fear. There was a time in my life where I, for years, lived in fear because I had heard a very scary ghost story during a slumber party. I think I must have been about 12 years old, and somebody started talking about that movie, When a Stranger Calls. I'm sure many of you have heard of that story, and it's absolutely terrifying. Well, as an impressionable 12-year-old girl, it literally scared the bejesus out of me, and for years after that, I am not kidding, I was afraid of the dark. I was afraid to go upstairs by myself because I thought that somebody would get me. I was afraid to be alone in the house by myself. I literally imagined everything that would possibly go wrong and hurt me because of this story that I had heard. And interestingly enough, of course, it was all in my head. There was absolutely no sense of reality about what I was scared of. I was just literally scared because of what my imagination was doing in terms of just running wild. And I think that it was only after I matured and decided to face my fears. I started to just literally plow into the dark. I started to go out alone by myself. I started walking around and realizing that it was completely in my imagination just running wild. And that for years I caused my own self to suffer because of a story that I had heard, and it totally indoctrinated it, and it really affected me for the longest time. Now, I know that, for example, right now, we are all living in terrible fear of what might happen if we all go outside, and by no means am I thinking to myself or telling you to just go out there and face your fear. That's not what I'm saying. But there is something to be said about fear and what it does to us and how we might be able to change the narrative or reframe what's happening in our own minds so that it becomes more livable and that we're not driving ourselves crazy, just absorbed with so much fear. And so, as I was mentioning, the first thing that I did was face my fear, and then the second thing that we can do is reframe the fear. And so, if we're thinking about the fact that we're afraid to go outside because we might catch a virus, perhaps we can reframe that by saying, I love the fact that I can stay home with my family more and do more and connect with them and spend time with them, instead of, well, I'm afraid that I'm not going to have a job after this because I'm not working now and things are really bad and I don't know where the money is coming from. Maybe we can reframe that and say, I love the fact that this gives me time to really think and innovate and perhaps do what I really love after this going forward. The economy is going to be shifting. Everything is going to change. Everything is kind of going to be thrown up in the air, and people are going to start hiring again in different ways. And so this could be an interesting time for us to really think about what's good and what positive things can happen from this. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that I had just recently heard a statistic, and certainly COVID-19 has taken hundreds of thousands of lives, but if we look at the other side of this, there are hundreds of thousands of lives that have actually been saved because of physical distancing and because of the fact that we're not working. I think that the statistic was that 77,000 lives have been saved in China alone because of air pollution being eradicated. People were literally dying because the air quality was so bad in China. And here in the States, I was looking at the news and I saw how many driving accidents have not happened because we're staying at home and that we're social distancing and being a little bit safer. So, there's always an interesting angle that perhaps we're not really giving enough focus to during times like this. I will tell you one secret, and that is that I have a favorite interview question to see if somebody is actually, from their souls, from their guts, actually fear-based or love-based. I kind of look at them as a dichotomy from each other. And that is that, if somebody were to walk up to you and in one hand had a bunny rabbit and in the other hand had a snake, which one would you go for? Which one would you want to hold? And if they say, well, I would go for the bunny rabbit because I would be afraid that the poisonous snake's going to bite me. Number one, I never said that the snake was poisonous. Number two, I don't really think that I would want to hire somebody because they're making a choice out of fear of something that might happen. You see the difference? If they said to me, oh, I would pick the bunny rabbit because I absolutely love bunny rabbits and I think they're fluffy and I love to hold them, you know, conversely, they could have said, I would love to hold that snake. That is so cool. I think that's really interesting. So it's not necessarily the choice that you're making, but the why that is behind the choice that you're making that I'd be interested in. And what I have found is that people who are led by fear or driven by fear or have this intuition that is based upon fear tend to be, very risk averse. They tend to not take chances or perhaps not be as creative. They think inside the box a little bit more. And so there's a lot of connective aspects about somebody's personality that I find is, something that is tied to being fear-based versus kind of starting with love or starting with opportunity, starting with, going for my passion rather than that fear. I thought that might be interesting to share, and I was thinking that, it might be an interesting question to even ask yourself, like if you had that bunny rabbit or if somebody came to you with a snake, what would you do? What would you say? What would be your modus operandi? If you're with your family at home and, rather than telling them, I don't want anybody going out, I'm afraid that we're going to catch this virus, maybe you can reframe it and talk about, look at all the really cool things that we can do while we're together at home. Don't you guys love that we have this time to really connect and be together? Maybe you don't, maybe you can't stand each other, but that's a video for another day. At any rate, hope that helped. I thought that it was interesting to just think about fear at this time and maybe look at the flip side of it and look at the opportunities and look at the bright side. And maybe that will help to, give us a little bit more sanity in our lives. Okay, with that, it is time for the giveaway. I have something else in my closet that I no longer need, no longer wear, and so I thought it would be nice to share it with somebody that might be interested in it. It's in this little pouch, so I'm gonna come over here and take it out so that you can see it in the light. It is actually a pearl necklace. Let me see if I can get it over here. It looks like this. It's got like a triple strand of pearls on the bottom, and then it has these really beautiful I guess these are some sort of crystal and silver toned metal bows on the sides, and then it also has a very large clasp at the top. So it's kind of like a mid-level necklace. And so dudes, pick this up for your girl. Girls, pick this up for yourself or somebody that you love. I would love to give it to you. The first person to raise their hand and give me their shipping information. Don't forget that shipping information. I've had a lot of people raise their hands and then do nothing about it. And so I can't help you there. You've got to be proactive and do for yourself. So give me that shipping address and then you'll be in the running to receive this. I appreciate you guys all so much. I'm so happy that I'm able to connect with you in this way. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.